What
What's
is up?
going on, man? Oh man, yeah. Um, yeah. I just decided to take a little piece of that and to throw it in with a little spinny thing because I love the little spinny thing. It just colors
Yeah,
things.
nice.
Um, hey, I can hear myself.
Yeah, I had to mute it on YouTube.
Uh,
I had to play in the
so
background.
so we're streaming both. Oh, okay, so
No,
yeah.
yeah, I can't do it because I think you have to pay for the StreamYard in order to do that. So if anything, just send it to me later or something. When we
It
figure out how to do that download
It
stuff.
might be an option too. I might
Yeah.
be able to move my options and change it too, but I think I'd have to.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, it's fine. We'll figure it out later.
Mm,
But what's up,
shoot.
everybody in chat?
Yeah, what is going on, everybody? How's it going, Ninja? Hey, what's going on, Rusty? Hey, Bliss, how you doing?
What's going on, Rusty? Good to see you, man. Ginger, Russell, what's up, Russell?
Oh, excellent,
Good
excellent.
to see you,
Yeah,
Russ.
yeah. We just kind of threw this one on just all of a sudden. Well, we decided earlier, but I didn't want to spring it out there until until now. Just kind of thought, hey, Chris, how you doing, man?
What's going on,
Um,
Chris?
yeah. As soon as I can get into my thing to well, thing of it is, guys, is those of you who don't have wrenches, I apologize about that. I did try like I promised I would, but I think I'm gonna have to get it up on my desktop and do it there. It's not letting me do it through mobile anymore, so I don't know. But
Yeah, it's
tonight,
weird how on certain apps you like on Instagram how you can see certain things only on the app on the phone and like you can't on a desktop. I hate that. Like just make it so you can do the same shit everywhere.
yeah, it's so fucking annoying. But yeah, we're gonna do something we're gonna start doing on a rig, but and we're probably gonna be doing double feature type things. But on this one, it's just gonna be 1981's The Burning. We decided just kind of step in, do one, give it a little bit of a try, and see what happens, and see if we enjoy it and all that stuff. This is my first review like this that I've done, a two-man review like this that I've done. I do believe since Al and I did Rocky and Rocky 2 back in the day, and we had a blast with them because we knew those films so well that I was able to quote them without even looking at notes. So it was just,
Yeah, that was great.
but yeah, I haven't talked to him in a really long time.
Yeah, he started around when I did, and Dave and when Mike found me and stuff, my channel, and then we did a bunch of things. We were good friends. Then we just like kind of started doing our things like so intensely, like both our channels, that we just haven't
Mhm.
done anything in a while. So Al, if you see this, I keep saying we got to do something. So let's actually do it soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So when was the first time that you ever seen this, man? I mean, was it later? Or was it, because I think you're a little younger than I am. Maybe. This came out when I
Yeah,
was.
from what I remember, I know I saw it like young, like maybe a few years after I saw Halloween and got into Friday and started getting into slashers, but I didn't really remember it or appreciate it that much then. Then I remember I saw it a few years later, like early teens, and that's when I loved the film because this is in my top five slasher films of the '80s.
Mm. But this didn't get pushed, man. This didn't get pushed like the Fridays
No,
did. Like this came
no,
out the
and
same year as Friday 13th Part Two, and for the longest time, no one even knew that this even existed. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
somehow, this is one of the biggest word of mouth slashers of all time because it's become one of the biggest, most loved, and most respected slashers ever made without without even getting that big release. I mean, because
yeah,
they spent 1.5 million making this, didn't even make $800,000 back on it. So
yeah,
this
and
so the success of this film didn't come from a theater. It's come from since then VHS,
oh yeah,
DVD, word of mouth, just the fans, man. So
and this was the Weinstein's first film.
yeah, and
And you could tell from the dialogue and some of the characters of this movie because there are some rapey or future rapey male
yeah,
characters in this film.
yeah,
It makes total sense at the Weinsteins.
yeah. Like I said, and this released at the theater in the U.S. and in Canada on May 8th of 1981. Cast, you got Brian Andrews, Lee Ayres, Brian Backer, of course you know him from Past Times, Jason
Right.
Alexander, everyone knows him, Fisher Stevens, Carrot Glenn, Larry Joshua, Shelley Bruce, Ned Eisenberg, and Carolyn Houlihan, and amongst others. Ugh.
Yeah, the cast is just great in this, and like you said, just mentioned, we have a few stars in the making. Early in their career. As a huge Seinfeld fan, I just love seeing Jason Alexander in this very early role, and to me, he
It's
kills
like
it
going to him.
comedically. You could tell he would be a star just from his performance in this film. I think.
Yeah, oh, he is. Yeah, very loud. Like in that scene where they come into the lunchroom, and he comes walking in like he's the fucking like he's the party waiting to happen. You know.
He's like the getter. Like he gets all the contraband for the camp here, the condoms, the Playboys and stuff. He plays a
That's
great character.
yeah, yeah. That's what I called it was the contraband. And he's bitching because his condoms aren't lubricated and all this and that. Yeah.
And Glazer as much of a dickhead, and that's what we were saying before we went live. Is for me, the characters in this movie are so likable, and that's a rare thing in 80s slashers and in any slashers really, but especially in the 80s when things were very campy and cheaply made. No one was looking at character development and stuff, trying to churn these slashes out as fast as possible in the early 80s especially. But the cast here, just like Friday Part 4, which is my favorite slasher, I love the characters, and that brings a slasher up a lot for me. And this movie has the same thing. It has great kills. It has it all. It has a great looking killer, and then it has those likable characters.
Yeah, and he even has a laser, which something about him, even though he is kind of a bully and shit, you at least kind of like how protective he is of Sally. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And how much he likes her, because he's just head over heels over her. He wouldn't hurt her. It's not like the
mhm,
Eddie Carrot thing.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So,
Eddie's relationship with her is completely different,
right, right. Well, this
and
is not
that's where
where
I think the Weinsteins shine through a bit.
Of course, we wouldn't know that for a long time later, but
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
everybody talks about that now. You can see the Eddie pushing on Karen. You can see the Glazer pushing on Sally. There's
Yeah.
some pushing, sexual harassing, creepy motherfuckers. Man.
But then again, that
Even
was in a lot of slashers back in the
like
80s. So,
right, but there's usually like one guy doing it. There's like two guys
yeah, I
and a
know.
movie dude fooling around watching and peeking at people in
Yeah,
showers.
Ratner's sneaking up, looking at the girls, peeping on them.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, man.
That's funny.
Yeah, this one you don't get the opening credit right away. You get it, and it basically just opens up, and it's got these five guys together, and they're discussing about tonight's the night. Cropsy's going to get what he deserves. It's
Yeah.
we're going to scare the shit out of him, and they're excited, and you're wondering why. What's the fuck's going on with this Cropsy guy? What the hell is going on? We're going to give Cropsy a heart attack. You know, well, the first thing we see is did you get it? Yeah, guy he pulls out this fucking box, and you know what's in it. So they'll go around, hide, and wait, and go over to the window while this one kid goes in. Um, and I like how you don't see what's going on with the box. Um, he just kind of even when he opens it up and he strikes the matches and sticks the match in there and he's lighting up something you don't know. You think it may be fireworks. It could be anything because they're playing a joke on this motherfucker. You don't realize until later when they talk about exactly what a fucked up dude this is. So you kind of feel for him to begin with. Well, they light it. He kind of wakes up, kind of jumps out of his sleep for a second. And they all stop, and which he looks kind of terrified actually because like I say, you don't realize it yet, but this is a serious motherfucker they're dealing with. Which took a
Yeah.
lot of balls for them to do this to begin with, actually. But he kind of moves, at that thing you start yourself out of sleep. Well, he waits, he goes back to sleep there, and then he's like, okay, that's cool. But he lights the shit, takes out whatever it is, grabs up the shit, and heads out. And then they all want to go around, and now you got all five faces at the fucking window sitting there snickering and laughing, just like kids do when they get ready to do something fun. But and that's what shocked me when I first seen this scene ever. I seen this, the first thing I started thinking was, "Holy shit, that's what they were laughing about." Where the fuck did they get that? Well, it wakes up, and finally they're pounding on the window and howling and whistling all kinds of shit. He wakes up and you see this is an ugly son of a bitch, man. He is fucking. He just looks all fucked up.
He has like the pig
Yeah,
nose.
it's I don't know. I'm not sure if he has a nose, man. You know, pig nose you got doing this. This is like two nostrils with like a lump.
Yeah, it's weird.
He's Neanderthalish looking. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden you just see him going booga. You know what I mean? It's just booga booga. Like he's got a bone and shit, ready to crack his woman over the head and drag her back like a caveman. But yeah. Um, well, of course he freaks out. You find out why he's freaking out. It's a fucking head with maggots and everything else crawling and shit. And they had like candles in the eyes or whatever.
I like that detail. Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, first of all, where the fuck did they get that?
Yeah.
These kids. And second of all,
They're
they're so
creative.
fucking,
You got to give them
they're
that.
creative. They got a stomach too, man, to be able to put the candles inside the eyes and
Yeah.
everything of this thing. Of course, that even scares the shit of him because you know I don't know if it would have usually. It probably would have freaked him out, but he's just waking up. So you just wake up and you're seeing this on fire at the end of your bed. You know, he kicks it, of course. If they'd have thought it through, they'd have realized, man, this is a bad idea. This could cause a fire.
Oh yeah.
If he catches himself on fire, and he catches on fire, and also the kid that brought it in, he would have noticed that there was a fucking gas can laying there. And of course, it has gas in it. He's kicking it over. He catches himself on fire. He's burning, running around and screaming. They decide to take the fuck off. They're like, oh my God. But he burst out the side. And one little blooper that I read about was if you look real close, you can see while he's running on fire, you can see the helmet.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yep.
Wearing.
Like the protective gear.
I couldn't see it that close, yeah, because they didn't have that gel shit quite like that back then. As a matter of fact, a lot of the fire scenes they did, you would be able to see that they were like this big puffed out fucker if they were on fire.
Yeah, exactly. The protective stuff they had to put on.
Right. Well,
but it doesn't take away that much. Like even knowing that when I watch it, it's just like a maybe if you see it and you know it, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. But it easily looked right past it.
Right. Yeah. He kicks the can, catches on fire, runs out the side. And I didn't. They said during the old legend later, they say he says, "I will get my revenge," but I think that's something they added because I think he was screaming basically. Now all of a sudden it cuts, and then we go to 1 week later, and we're to St. Catherine's Hospital.
Yeah.
And this part, man, this
guy is hilarious.
This guy has no couth. He has just no filter whatsoever on this guy.
Great character.
He is though, yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, from coming out of the elevator, I mean, you don't know how long he's been talking and harassing this poor intern. But it's like probably all the way up on the 6th floor, all the way into the elevator, all the way down to where they're at.
He's yapping his ear off.
Yeah, and you can tell he just wants to get the fuck away from this guy. They come out of the elevator with him talking, this guy is he says, when you've been working here as long as I have, let me see, you'll feel old. You're gonna feel like an old man. Guys like you won't last 5 minutes. The doctor tries to get away, but he grabs him again. He's like, no telling that. Yeah, he says, they start walking down the hallway together. He grabs him and he says, "Hey, you got a minute?" He's like, "No, man, I'm supposed to be going down here." He said, "When you see this guy, you'll never want to come back in here again, man."
Great lines.
This guy's burned so bad he's cooked. Fucking Big Mac overdone.
Yeah, the Big Mac line is great.
Says, "You know what I mean?" And the doctor's like, "What the fuck? Leave me alone." He's like, "It's a miracle he's even still alive. If it was me, I'd prefer to be dead. No way I'd want to be this freak." And he calls you a freak like 3 and 4 different fucking times. He said, "He's a monster, man. I've been working here 10 years, and I'm telling you, you ain't never seen nothing like this." The doctor's like, "Hey," once again, he's like, "Yeah, I gotta go." And he's like, "No, you need a doctor, right? Well, this is what you've got to see." And he's like, "Well, look, man, because he is just an intern, he probably hasn't seen this shit before quite like this. And he knows that no matter what he's going to see, he just wants this guy to shut up and leave him alone
and get out of there."
Yeah. You want to be a doctor? This is what you got to see. He says, "This is where it's at." So he goes into the room, pulls back the curtain and says, "Now this is Burns. As long as you live, you ain't never going to see a freak like this." you're never going to see nothing standing over there. And finally he's comics around. So it makes you wonder if maybe the guy kind of wants to see it, but he's making sure nobody's watching, like, because,
Yeah, he feels bad, like taking a peek at this point after all the shit he said about him.
well, not only that, but if he's hanging around with this guy, who obviously has nothing to lose at all because he don't have no big profession in the future,
Yeah,
it's like he's just trying to get into the hospital to become a doctor. All he is an intern at this point.
yeah,
So he's wanting to come over there. Once he finally starts slowly to come over there, he's paying attention to him, and then gets exactly what he deserves, in my opinion. He gets his arm. The first big jump scare of the film, snatches the arm, grabs him, and this guy screams like there is no fucking tomorrow.
yeah. It's great, and I love the effects on the arm, the burn effects.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah,
you see right away is just the burn on his
yeah,
arm with that jump scare, and it really like it's eerie. Like it really gets you when you first see it because of
yeah,
all that buildup with the guy and just all the things that he says. And like, yeah, the Big Mac line's hilarious. And this guy just wants to get the fuck out of here. And as soon as he sees that arm grab him, that intern's gone. That intern is
yeah.
right out of that room. He probably quit that day and never. He
Exactly.
switched
Yeah, I was gonna
professions
say that.
immediately.
The second he snatched him, started screaming. He was like, he was trying to. He couldn't get out of there quick enough, man. If he could
Oh
ran through
yeah.
the door, he would have. So he's getting the fuck out of there. Yeah, leaves his ass behind. As I wrote here, I said, intern leaves his ass behind. Then we then we get the opening credits.
Yeah.
All right, man. You want to go ahead and take it from after the opening credits?
Yeah, the credits. I mean, we were talking a little before this of just the score we get here from Rick Wakeman, and I think it's one of the best '80s slasher themes and scores here because, as I said, as a huge Yes fan, progressive rock fan, the synthesizer sounds in this, and it fits the movie so well.
Right, right.
And after and like the fire effects are very well done in this, especially that intro scene. And then we flash forward 5 years, right? And he's leaving the hospital. And when you mentioned earlier that that this guy, he's a drunk, they say, Cropsy,
Yeah.
but I feel like he wouldn't have been a killer if they didn't do this to him and pulled this prank. So I don't know how bad of a
The
guy he
bullying was
really
enough
was.
for him at that time because he
Yeah.
controlled the place. So
Yeah.
that was for him at that point.
I feel like he probably wasn't as bad and of a person that the kids were, saying. Maybe it
Right.
was more about maybe he was even a legend at that point. He was legendary. It's like, oh, the Cropsy who works there. Yeah, he's a dick. He's an alcoholic and stuff. But nobody deserves what happened to him. So he
Well,
leaves. Yeah.
and I feel like if they're afraid he was a killer, they wouldn't have been doing that shit. They would not have been pulling that
Yeah,
trick.
exactly. Like if there was word of him killing people before, being a psychopath, I'm sure they wouldn't have. Because, like you said, it takes a lot of balls just to do what they did, and they had no idea it was going to spiral out of control.
Right.
Now we get the scene when Cropsy leaves the hospital and he sees the prostitute and brings her up into the place, into the room, and then she finally gets a look at his face and freaks out. And then the kill we get here, and for people who haven't seen this movie for some reason, and Tom Savini does the effects here, which he left Friday Part 2, right, to come work on this movie.
Turned it down. Yeah.
Yeah, he turned down Friday 2 to come and work on this. And that explains in a little bit when we get the scene by the campfire. It's almost identical to the scene in Friday 2 around the campfire. The same like type of story. Then the person pops out and scares everybody. So it had to be Savini working on like seeing the script maybe for Friday 2. I then went to and said I'm going to work on the burning, and he mentioned that, and they said we like that. Let's put that in here.
Right.
But all the kill with the prostitute's great. I love how she crashes through the back of her head, goes through the window, the
It's
lightning
so
strike.
giallo, man. He's so giallo-y looking, man.
It is, yeah. It's very Giallo-esque, especially because they don't want to show his face right away because they want to save it for the reveal at the end of how fucked up looking he is. And again, they do a great job of building that with that whole scene with the guy in the hospital, by building up and building up how fucked up looking he is, how burnt. And then when we finally see him at the end, it looks, I think it looks great. His design is great in this.
Just go. Just leave me alone. Just
Yeah,
go.
yeah. All her lines are great. The way she looks at him when like when
Mm,
she's just like, oh my god, and she's like just staring at him, and she knows she's fucked at that point. Like she knows this guy has ill intentions. The way she puts that on her face and displays that emotion, she does a great job.
yeah, yeah. True. Very, very, very true.
Yeah, that's a great scene, and the scissor effect is excellent. I think that's one of the best effects in this movie.
He
Just and
starts
very
choking her.
very New York Ripper esque.
Yeah, he starts strangling her, but then I think either he doesn't have the strength up yet to do it, or he decides, no, I want to see some blood, so I'm gonna stab her instead.
Yeah, and then the spray on the mirror of the
Yeah,
blood is great too.
yeah.
Then we end up back at Camp Blackfoot, and this is after that 5 year time gap.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then you can take from here. Then well, this is Camp Stonewater. That's
yeah,
where it is,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah. It starts out. It just kind of shows this really pretty scene over the water there. I mean, you can tell it's a lake. It's probably a camp. You see the the floaty piers that float out here. You see nice boats, and you can tell it's early morning.
Hmm.
And then it kind of just fades us into a softball game. Where you got you see characters Alfred, played by Brian Backer. You see Dave, Jason Alexander. You see Michelle, which is the mate, which is the female lead. Sally, which is my favorite female character in the whole film. Yeah, Eddie and Karen, they're the story of their own. Everybody like
Yeah.
the dudes are immediately looking at asses and everything, discussing pussy, of course.
Yep.
Um, Eddie's harassing Karen. You catch that right the fuck away. He's like, "What do you want to give it up? Well,
Just
where's it at?"
staring at her ass.
And goes over and bugs her even and shit. Well,
Yep.
the ball gets knocked into a wooded area, and Tiger, a girl they call Tiger, runs in there after it. And this is the first point of view that you get of the little thing here, where on the lens they put Vaseline to give
I read
a
that.
closer
Yeah.
look. Yeah, and you can see it, and you get that ring. You get the heartbeat along, which I think is really cool.
I think they
Um,
called it Cropsy Vision, like
yeah,
on set. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and it shows you watching her. You know what I mean? And you get that point of view shot, and you get the understanding that somebody is in there watching her for sure. That, or they're just trying to bullshit. But in this occasion, this is our first actual sighting of the shears. Our first sighting of the iconic shit like that, because she finds that ball just in fucking time as he's raising that shit. Meanwhile, everybody's out there going, "Oh, come on, just don't worry about that ball. We'll get another one." You got other people going, "Hurry and find the fucking thing. Come on, get out here. Want to play?" Well, well, I'm looking for it. She goes in, and just as she's doing that, he raises the shit up, and then she takes off and gets out of there just in fucking time. So that was a nice little tease into that one.
Yeah. I have one thing to say just quick on that. I wonder if he would have killed her there, right?
Things would have gotten ugly quick.
Exactly, because they're all waiting. They know she's in there. They know that she's looking for the ball. So if he would have killed her, she would have never came out. So even if he took the body, then they have a missing camper. So
So
yeah, I wonder if he was really thinking that through,
right.
or if he was just so hell bent, on just revenge and wanting to take his revenge for what happened to him. He was just blinded by that, and he was ready to just strike.
Or maybe just going through the motions, like, "Oh, you're
Yeah,
lucky. I'm gonna let you get out of here," because I think he could have definitely done it, but he didn't.
yeah, yeah. I think maybe he hesitated at the end there, and maybe thought like, all right, if I do this now, people are going to be finding me and looking for me and looking for this girl.
Right.
I like that
Yeah.
little detail. I like how they filmed all that.
Yeah. And I like the first little sighting of the and you get the iconic. It's almost like they could tell that him reaching back with those things was going to be an iconic scene. It's like
Yeah,
they could tell they had something there. Um, but yeah. Then it switched from the softball game to the lunchroom, where Michelle's basically telling Karen, "Man, why are you fucking with this guy, man? Why are you putting up with that shit? He harasses you all the fucking time. Well, he's a nice guy. Sometimes, he can be a real sweetheart, And she's like, "Well, look, okay, then give it up."
I
Basically what she
love
said.
Michelle's character.
Well, then give it up, I suppose. Um, Oh, it, then it goes into the next morning with the ceilingless or the topless shower, which I think are really interesting. And the first one that gets up is Sally, and she needs herself a shower. First time you really get to really spend any time with her, she runs down to the showers, and I think it's interesting. You got walls all around here and everywhere, and then you don't got no ceiling on it. It's like you're just asking for these young ass perverts to stick their head over it and look. Especially if you stick Sally in there,
I
because
also, I
Sally's a
also,
cute girl.
oh yeah, I also noticed that, and it always bothers me that they have to walk out to the showers, but in sleepaway camp they got a shower in the room, in the
Yeah,
cabin with all the girls, so they got a better camp over there at Arawak.
just a difference. Yeah, just yeah. I mean, they're all different one way or another, I suppose. Some of them, like some of them, have actual bathrooms in them, and at that time, some of them still had outhouses.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like, damn, dude, when are you gonna catch up? But yeah, you get the shower, of course, you get the gratuitous little movie scene.
yep.
Um, she hears the door creaking and shit, and she ignores. Okay, goes back to washing the hair, and that's another little blooper there. Is it at different times of her washing her hair? Sometimes it'll be soapier than other times.
That's a common continuity error you see, or with like food that's there and missing.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of the. That's some of the shit that I love most about low budget filmmaking.
Yeah,
These little things like that. But and she hears more noise again. Of course, she's gonna look and ask. It's that old trope of who's there. You know, Tiger, Michelle. She goes and she goes open it up this, and then all you hear is a scream that sends everybody running. And on Michelle's way in, on the way out of the girls' showers, is fucking Alfred. Of course he gets snatched. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Um, let's see, it's yeah, and it turns out that Alfred is Brian Becker, of course, like we say, he's Mark Ratner from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the
yeah,
good old the rat. Um, Todd Ketchum, of course, he says, and this is what gets me, man. I only meant to scare her.
yeah, yeah. Get out of here.
What the fuck are you talking about? Why are you trying to scare her, dude?
And
What
he
is your
did
fucking
succeed
problem?
at scaring her very much so, because now
Why do you
she's
need to
fucking
scare her?
terrified of this freaky pervert.
These days, his ass would have been out of there that day. Trying to scare her, you're fucking creepy. You could be a shooter. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, they should have sent him right home.
Yeah, because he creeps around her and just around anybody and everybody that's doing anything.
Yeah,
But yeah, then it goes from that, and Todd's trying to stick up for him because he just sees he's a good little guy. He doesn't think he needs the harm. So him and Michelle are arguing a little bit, and that's when you find out Michelle and Todd are together. And so they go into the office. Todd jumps Alfred's ass, um, and warns him about Glazier. What are you gonna do about Glazier? First time we ever hear about Glazier.
yeah,
He said, I get picked on by everybody. And he tells him, hey man, look, you're lucky because 5 years ago, it's the first time you get an idea of 5 years ago. If you put things together, you're like, wait a minute, 5 years ago, because you don't know anything about Todd. It's like 5 years ago, I didn't just get punished or whatever. I didn't just get ragged out. I got sent home. And he's like, you did? Why? And he's like, yeah. So, you know, keep your shit together. Besides, I don't want to have to keep later from beating the shit out of you.
yeah.
All right, all right,
Great dialogue throughout this movie.
it is. You got basically goes directly to the girls' cabin where they're giving Sally shit about Glacier and fucking with her about Glacier.
Yeah. I love the fact that they sneak the cigarettes. They're just sitting there and bullshitting. They're just smoking and
She's
stuff. Like they
smoking
don't
a
have a
light.
care in the world.
Well, 1981, it was a lot different. Believe it or not, man, in
Oh yeah.
1981, I was 8 years old. I could go over to, there was this little mini mart across the street from where I lived. I used to walk over there and get cigarettes for my mom daily. They just sell
Yeah.
them to me.
The gas station right near me, they've known me 20 something years. So the same thing, they never ID'd me for alcohol, for cigarette or nothing.
Well, at that time, you didn't have to be 18 to buy them.
Yeah.
That didn't happen until the mid to later 80s.
Yeah. And then they bumped it like when I was in college, 2006 to 19, in where I am in New York.
Yeah, I heard it's like 21 or 20 or some shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking crazy. But
Then we have the scene with Glazer giving Alfred shit and threatening the hell out of him. Great dialogue here from Glazer. Like we were saying, he's a dickhead character, but he's still a likable guy. Like he's still a likable character because how he's so protective of his girl, even though he's a little pushy. You
and
could tell he cares.
you can tell he's just a macho type, man. He
Yeah,
just you can tell that back in his neighborhood, he's probably not nearly as badass as he is there. But there at that camp
exactly.
around those kind of kids, he's scary.
Yeah, and that's
Like he was
exactly what
picking to
Todd
Sally
says to
about all
him.
of his muscles. It's like, what fucking muscles? This guy ain't got no fucking muscles.
That's what Todd says to him. But you pick on people. Why don't you pick on someone your own size?
It, yeah, yeah. Because to Todd, he's gonna be like, hey, Todd, no problem at all, man. Why you sweating me? Why you always sweating me? I ain't
Yeah,
do nothing. He's the one that's a creep.
and he has a point. He does have a point because Alfred is a fucking creep, but bullying's never all right like that, and especially him, like you said, trying to be more
Yeah,
intimidating than he would be in another situation, in another place, another scenario.
right. You don't even see Todd to begin with. All you hear is like you see like Glacier harassing fucking Ratner or Alfred, telling him, he says something to him, and then he walks a couple feet away and he goes, why are you looking at me, punk? And he goes back over to him again. And you hear Todd from it's like you hear him from over here going, Glazer.
It's great. I love most like 90% of the dialogue I love in here.
Yeah. You go to the swimming and the whole pier scene here with Woodstock and Alfred and Dave and Fish and
Another
everybody.
great one.
Yeah, they're when all the girls are out there on the floating. That's always called that was the floating pier.
Yeah,
When you
floating. Yeah,
got
exactly. That's what it is. It's floating beer.
yeah, they got a special name for it. I think to me, it's just
Yeah,
a
I don't know what it is.
wooden platform.
Mm.
Yeah, they all dive out there, and I was kind of fucked up since Alfred couldn't swim. Why didn't they all dive out there and swim out there and leave Alfred standing looking stupid to begin with? Man, he looks goofy anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of a dick move on their part. Even though they are friendly with him, like they're
Yeah.
protective of him, especially Dave, right? It's Jason Alexander's name. He's very protective of
They
him.
weren't thinking about it. All they seen was a bunch of girls out there on the floaty device out there, and was
Yeah,
like, "Hey, we'll see you in a few minutes, Alfred. Sorry."
yeah.
But,
Hormones took over.
but yeah, they're like, "Hey, hold on, I'll be right back." But that leaves him wide open for fucking Glazer again. So he comes over, shoves his ass in the water, and fucking laughs at him. And he can't swim; he's drowning. Glazer don't give two shits.
Then we get the BB gun. I love Dave's whole talk to him too, like his pep talk. Like this is your moment, you know,
Yeah,
like this. Just aim, get ready, aim, and fire. Like that's what I mean with Jason Alexander in this. So with all his dialogue and just his comedy, you could tell
he's
back then
so
that
fucking
looking at
crazy.
this that he was going to be a star in the future.
Yeah, he's Glazer's gonna shit.
Yeah, yeah, great line too.
Yeah, because he wasn't thinking like shit. He wasn't looking for shit. He just dove in there and wanted to go over and talk to Sally. Goes up there immediately, and he don't give a shit if all the girls around there laugh or anything. He really walks past all of them directly to Sally, and he goes, "Hey, Sally, how you doing?" You know, blah blah. Well, hey, why don't you take a swim with me? I don't want to get my hair wet. Yeah. So like, oh, Glazer, get out of here, blah blah blah. And he's, oh, fuck you all. Come and talk to her.
I like how sassy she is to him. Yeah.
I don't get my hair wet. Yeah. Well, meanwhile, they're dragging poor Alfred out of the fucking out of the river or the lake, whatever. He's fucking pumping his chest because he's drowning.
Then we get the mooning scene, which I'm sure had to do with the Weinsteins too.
I can't help it, man. But when they do that, if you notice, fucking Fisher, this guy is so skinny. He's one of these people I talk about. He's so skinny that his legs don't grow up into an ass. They grow up into an asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's such a funny scene, and it's random too. I mean, it makes sense
Double
for
his asshole
guys
sticks
doing
out. It's
that and
fucking
stuff at a
terrible.
camp. It makes sense,
Yeah.
but it's definitely I definitely think that was like written in there for certain people.
Yeah, because you never know about Weinstein there, man. He just, I think he wanted some shit from somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Probably like, yeah, we need a scene when the guys show their asses. So they
Yeah.
wrote it in there.
But it's disturbing because when that one bends over, man, it's like all you see is a fucking asshole sticking out. It's like,
Great.
damn, dude, eat a couple sandwiches.
Gain some fucking weight.
I didn't realize he was so skinny when he was younger like that, man.
Yeah, Fisher Stevens.
He was
Woodstock is
skinny.
named this
With the
Woodstock. He should
perfect,
take that namesake and stock up on stock up on that body a bit.
perfect name for him because when you see him, man, they call him Woodstock. Like if you just hear Woodstock and you see that group, you know exactly who the fuck they're talking about.
Oh yeah,
He doesn't even need to say, yeah. You just like that's the one that's Woodstock.
yeah. Oh yeah. He has it written on him.
But yeah, when they shot him in the ass, he's like, that's funny. We'll kick him away your ass. Yeah, then it goes back to the boys' cabin with the whole rubber thing. When we first see Cropsy.
Yep. Great dialogue too. Again from Glazer and Dave with the condoms and stuff going back and forth. Well, I asked for lubricated ones, and then he's like, "Okay." Dave back them. I love all his lines, Dave, in this.
Yeah, yeah. I like it when Blazer's telling him he's like I can't remember what he calls him. He calls him something. He said, you guys ought to try the real thing. You know that?
Yeah, yeah. Great
Like
stuff.
Mr. Come to find out that you know what I mean. He's not exactly Mr. Get laid all the time either. Exactly. I don't believe that, or he just likes Sally a little too much. I think some of the two. But yeah, and I thought it was smart how they had Alfred, Brian Backer, how they had him be the only one because the whole time you get the build up of and then he's coming around somewhere and something's gonna happen there. And meanwhile you see Backer looking up and everything and he looks up at this window and you see and it's almost as if Crofty turns his face on purpose so you can see all of it, you know.
Yeah.
And you see it fucking freaks the fuck out. Of course everybody thinks he's fucking crazy.
And yeah, and I like what like you just mentioned with him seeing it just by himself. He's already has a reputation at this camp as, a prankster and a fucking weirdo and stuff. So it builds that up very nicely because he's the only one that sees it, so he doesn't get believed right away. And it takes a while for anybody to believe this guy.
But yeah, because that comes in again. Like once again, that comes in again later too. When he's telling Todd, hey, when he's telling Todd
Exactly.
about Glazer and shit, he's like, "Boy, come on, man, I'm just, I'm trying to sleep, man, enough." He's like, "No, man, fucking really."
Yeah, he even says to him, he's like, I'm not kidding." And then Todd says, "You better not be playing some prank or something." Like he says that directly to him.
Yeah, because they don't believe he's seen a face in that window,
Yeah.
but we
No.
know he did.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's the first time we get to see. Now they said that Tom Savini wasn't happy with his makeup in that, and
I've heard. Yeah, I've
I think
heard
the
that.
Cropsey makeup is good, man.
I think it's very good.
I don't get it.
I'm pretty sure he did, model it after actual pictures of burn victims and stuff like that. And Tom Savini, I mean, saw all that type of shit in real life, being a war photographer. So he saw everything. But I'm pretty sure they were looking at actual burn victims and stuff to model the design for him and the makeup and the effects. And I think it did a good job. I don't know why Savini doesn't care for it. There is an effect in here by him that I don't care for. We'll get to that scene.
He's very critical of his makeup and shit,
Yeah.
which as well you should be and you would be. Like
Oh
he
yeah.
still hates himself over the Dawn of the Dead, how blue they came out. And
Yeah, with the
I can
blood.
see where he's coming from on that. But he said it didn't look that way through the camera, and I
Mhm.
believe him because I don't believe he would have let it go from here to the theater
Oh,
if
absolutely.
if he knew that. So yeah. But we go to the dinner scene where they all where they'll pop in there where Todd's had to go round them all up. That happened at the end of the scene where he sees the Cropsy face. He's still bitching, and Todd's like, "What happened now?" And he's like, "Nothing, nothing happened."
Yeah.
Well, then they go to have dinner, and then that's when Jason Alexander pops through, going, "Hey, ladies, we are here. We've made." Everybody's like, "All right," and he immediately goes over to Sally and starts talking to her and shit. Jason Alexander's like, "Hey, come over here. I'm talking to her," and he goes, "I'm talking to her."
Yeah, I love how Dave mimics Glazer's voice. He does it a few
Talking to her.
times.
Which he's one of those guys that knows he can get his ass kicked, but he's still gonna talk shit anyway.
Exactly. Like
He's
he's
one of
not
those
going to
people.
stand down to Glazer just because he's a bully and shit. Even if he knows that he might not be able to take him if it came to that. He's still
He's
not
one,
going to back down. He's still going to be his fucking self. That's another reason why I love his character.
he's been mouthing on about you the whole time you're beating shit.
And it also shows a mutual respect in a way for Glazer towards Dave. Because, Glazer could have beat the shit out of this guy at any point, but he doesn't. Because he, in a way, even though he does treat them all like shit, I feel like he sees Dave as a little bit more up on the scale, I guess, like closer to what he thinks of himself.
He doesn't bully Dave. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he
Argue with
treats
him.
him as not an equal, like he still gives him shit, but like more equal than everybody else.
He's the one he won't try to intimidate. He'll argue with him, but
Yeah.
he won't try to intimidate him and swirl up on him. Yeah, very true. Yeah, but yeah, they that then remember Woodstock has to get his vitamin E. Do you want to go
Oh,
ahead and take
yeah.
some of the vitamin E? Uh,
Yeah, we get more good POV shots through this, which I really like the POV in this. Like we mentioned earlier, that was a great decision putting the Vaseline on the camera, because they could have done what other like earlier giallos even or early slashers did with, they'll just put like some type of border around the camera to make it look like a mask or something like that. So this was a good decision because Cropsy doesn't wear a mask.
Maybe it's because he's
His
allergic
eyes
to
are
it.
all fucked up and his face is
Yeah,
messed up and burnt to a crisp. So
that's what I was
I
thinking.
think it's a good way of showing that through his eyes,
Maybe
because
his
he wouldn't
eyelids
be
are
able to
brutal
see.
or something.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to see normally with that
Right,
damage.
exactly. Because the nurse when they earlier when they go back up a little bit when they were bringing him out and they're rolling him out, all you see before they get the hooker scene is this nurse pushing him in a wheelchair, and you can hear the echo of all the different doctors telling him,
Hmm.
"I'm sorry, we've done all we could," and blah blah blah. The skin grafts didn't take, and try not to hate those kids. You know what I
Yep,
mean? And don't carry no revenge with you. You know what I mean? Blah 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 blah.
they
All this kind of stuff.
specifically mentioned that to him.
Yeah. You don't,
Unfortunately, he doesn't take their advice.
so it's like, yeah. But this is this is one of those false scenes where he heads back there and you think it and the crops he's watching, so
Yep.
you expect he's the one that's coming in that door there when Woodstock's retrieving his vitamin E.
It kind of reminds me, speaking of Friday 2 earlier, again, in the similarity with that campfire scene, it kind of reminds me of Terry when she's alone and she goes, into the cabin to look for a knife to cut, what I forget his name, down from the rope trap when he's upside down.
Right.
They show POV there, but we know it's Terry.
Yeah.
Like there, even we see like a POV from her. It's kind of similar. It reminds me of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Russell Todd.
Russ, yeah.
His name's Russell Todd, but his name in it. What is I don't remember his
I
name.
know. I don't remember. This Friday, the Friday movies, especially all of them and stuff, and the later ones, I don't remember the names. Like past like 6 or 7, I don't remember most of the characters' names unless they're very memorable.
I've got it. I had it written down here, but I couldn't. It must be written in my other one. But anyway, he's not important for this particular one. Um, let's see. Let's see. Oh, and as they leave, well, we come to find out that it's Todd, and he's coming to retrieve him. And that's one thing I was confused about. Something I didn't remember. Now, did Fisher and Glazier, did they tell Todd blah blah blah? We're worried about him. We hadn't seen him to get him caught.
I think so. I think that's kind of what they imply because just they want to
Yeah,
get rid of this creep.
yeah. And so that's why Todd comes back there because we're worried about it. We haven't seen him, so that causes Todd to go look for him. He goes there to look and sees him in there, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" Comes back there because the first thing Todd does is go to Glacier and Fisher and say one more little trick like that, and you're out of here.
Yeah.
And they look at Fisher, and he says, "You too." And Fisher's like, you know. So it's like I never remembered. I didn't remember that. As many times I've seen it, I guess I just didn't. It just didn't click with me. But doing the strong, doing the deep notes on this time, I was like, them motherfuckers. One of them was his friend.
Yeah.
Fucking dick.
Then we have the camp. This is where we get the campfire scene,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's almost beat for beat, like Friday too.
Mm-hmm. And
So
he
they,
tells the cops his story.
mm-hmm. And then we have the guy pop out, just like in Friday too. So it had to have been Savini because he's the only common link there between both
Yeah.
movies. He probably saw the script and said showed it or told it to somebody, and they said we got to use that because they came
Yeah.
out the same year.
Hey, thank you, Russell. I'm much appreciated, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
thank you, Russ.
Here, let me give you a quick. Let me see here. I'll just randomly pick one so that we're not dragging this on forever here. How about
This is a job for overdone.
there we go. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, I thought it was funny about Todd, and you don't really realize this yet. He kind of hinted about the 5 year thing, but you don't really realize it yet, you know. But him sitting there telling that fucking story like that about this dude being a drunk and being a bastard and how they were getting back at him and all this kind of stuff, telling his own, well,
His own,
telling
yeah, yep,
the story, and it's like, he was a drunk, he was mean, he was a bully. He even talked about being a sadist, and then that's what starts talking about, and this immediately connects to the shear thing earlier with Tiger in the woods retrieving the softball. Tells about how he always carried around these fucking shears and shit, and he always gave people just this evil fucking look.
yeah. I think it's interesting how he tells his own story, and then he has the balls to tell his own story. Like he's basically admitting, but not mentioning he was involved.
Kind of trying to give you a hint and shit here and there, like earlier about the 5 years, but then when he says this, it makes you completely disconnect him from what happened earlier because it's
Yeah.
supposed to be that big reveal.
See, when I've always it's a nitpick, how I nitpick things, but in that scene in the beginning when they play the prank and he's on fire, he runs out and he gives maybe a glance over to the kids. But his primary concern should be I'm on fucking fire and I got to put this out. The only thing you'd be thinking about is where's water. So
Right.
the fact he remembers the kids who did this and 5 years later that he would recognize Todd, that's something I always I chuckle at when I think about it. Because like if you were on fire, are you gonna be noticing? Oh, that's Jim and John and Todd and Barry, whatever their names are. But it's a fun little oversight that you can that make just adds to the charm, just like a lot of 80s slashers.
Yeah. Um, but they've already taken that whole day trip to the other place right now, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They already have. Yeah, because that night is when Eddie and Karen are walking around there. And he bullshits her into getting into the gratuitous camp slasher skinny dip scene.
yep,
You gotta have that, especially in '81. Not everybody was doing it yet.
yeah,
Of course, he harassed the shit out of her and talks her into it. She gets in there, and she's all like, she falls for it every time. So she must really like this dude or
yeah.
something. But um, anyway, he basically just tells her that, if you're not going to give it up, then get the fuck out of here. So she does.
Total
Um,
dick move.
and that's another scene, kind of like Friday the 13th Part 2. Also, when she comes up out of there and her clothes are gone and they're just hanging here and here and here.
Yep.
Except for in this one, she gets led directly to, this is the first this is the first sheer kill.
Yeah, this garden shears is a great killing utensil, and we'll get to the famous scene in this movie, and then I think we'll talk some effects there because there's a theory I have on the effects budget and the rest of the kills in the movie, but it's a good kill here with the shears.
Yeah, he kind of just uses them as a knife or razor to cut the throat,
Yeah.
cut her throat. And of course, do you want to take the next morning, or do you want me to go ahead and do it, or?
Yeah, you can get to take the next morning scene.
Well, next morning they're kicking fucking Eddie, going, "Hey, where in the hell is Karen?
Yep.
I don't know. Well, we seen you with her last night, and and I didn't go looking for her last night because I thought she was with you, you creep, and all this kind of stuff. And then they find out that the canoes are gone, and so they're thinking, well, that's what happened to her. She got in one of the canoes and went back home. But then what happened to the rest of them? Well, maybe she accidentally let the rest of them go. No, they wouldn't just be totally gone, so they're going all of that. So they get everybody together and talk. And this is the first time you actually see Holly Hunter. And if you look real close, you can see Holly Hunter, and a really young Holly Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they decide, well, let's go look around and see what we can find. See if we can find her. See if we can find these canoes. And if we can't, then Todd's like, fuck it, I'll just make one. Like, oh.
And I like that they mentioned that too. That she wouldn't do that. Like she would cut all the canoes loose, even if she went back to the camp.
Yeah, and even if she did, they all wouldn't have floated to where you couldn't see any of them. You'd at least see one stuck up in a bank somewhere or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't all just be gone. There was like 8 of them or some shit. So there's no fucking way. So they go to look for him, and I think it's funny. While everybody's looking around for him, you get this scene of Todd and Michelle sitting there on this bank, and he's just throwing rocks.
Yeah.
Everyone else is looking for this shit. He's just kind of tossing rocks into the water, and she's sitting there with him, and she's like, "What's wrong? Something wrong?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm feeling uneasy. Something's wrong." So then they look for shit. Quickly put together one, a nice one too, considering they were just looking around for shit.
Oh yeah.
Jason Alexander fucking with the one chick about the little piece she finds. He's like, "What's that?" And you're like, "Throwing a canoe," and he's like, "Oh." So then you get them leaving. Of course, not everybody can go. You got to keep some people back, and then you get you pick up on the Glazier Sally argument there, because she's trying to play hard to get. At the same time, she kind of wants to. At the same time, she's afraid to, because it's obvious here in 2 minutes that she's never had sex before.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're making out, kind of. He's ripping her shirt off of her, the whole time. It makes me wonder if Weinstein was on set going, "No, man, you're, you know what I mean? Like, like, you really want this, man. You grab it and start tearing it off her, right?
Yeah. I don't care how far you go, just rip that shirt off.
Here, hold on. Let me show you. This is what you do.
Yeah, exactly. He steps like Fulci would step in for like the City of the Living Dead coffin scene. No, let me do it.
It's like, here, this is what you do. When you want, you just rip it right off there. Remember, no means yes.
Yeah,
Jesus
exactly.
Christ. God damn, Harvey. Jesus, man.
But they do put that makeshift raft together very well. And like, especially for a bunch of campers that are just having a fun time screwing around, and that's something we mentioned earlier too, is that the fun that the cast had here.
Oh yeah,
you can tell that they had great chemistry, that they were actually having a blast filming this, and it shows through the film.
Oh yeah, they're all the way there. They're rolling. Like before they get to this place, when they're on their way there, back up a little bit. On their way there, they're splashing each other and playing the whole fucking way, man, goofing and laughing. And you don't plan every one of them having that much fun. You'd be able to tell at least a couple of them were acting.
Exactly, and
So it's like
it seems
like they
so
did good.
natural.
It's like they didn't even know that the cameraman, the cinematography and everything was going at that moment. Like they wasn't
Yep.
sure if they were filming or not. They probably got lost and forgot they were even making a movie for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they just can be on a set like this and be
The
in a
kids can
canoe and be having fun and actually rowing canoes and stuff, and like they got into this and had a great time, and it shows like immensely. And that's another thing that adds to this movie and adds to the characters.
and if you get enough kids together that are easygoing, that get along well together, they will be best fucking friends in a day.
Oh
Easy.
yeah,
So I bet at this point a lot of them work. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where when it was done, I bet you some of them, some more sensitive ones or whatever, were probably even a little emotional about not doing this shit anymore, about having to go into it
yeah,
because they're at that age. It's important. It's like it was probably like actually going to a summer camp, and then outside it is when it has to split. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. It probably felt like they were actually at camp.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah, bad. When you got kids like that on there and you're doing such a serious, well, maybe slashers serious subject matter. But at the same time, it is subject matter. There ain't many laughs in this one. There ain't many
Yeah,
comedy. I'll put it that
yeah, and basically the only comedy is a lot from Jason Alexander from Dave.
way. Yeah, yeah.
He's definitely the comic relief character in this.
Dave is Dave is the George Costanza. If George Costanza was a little easier going,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
he was such a dick. Yeah, but yeah. But what's going on? Yeah, he's being rapey and trying to tear her shit off. Um, of course, Cropsy's watching, and then it shows that fucking Alfred stalking him too.
He's such a creep. I love it.
He just hiding around trees and shit all the time. I don't know if it's her, if it's him, if he
He's a
just
tree
wants to do
hugger.
that. Like I worry about what happened, but if that character, like if they was to make a part two, Alfred probably would have been the Cropsy.
I think I said that in my video, in my review on this early on. I said like with a few of the characters that we've mentioned that are very rapey or something. I said like they're very rapey this or they're future fucking rapists.
You got
Like
Ted
in
Bundy.
this world or something because definitely they're very pushy.
He's the future Ted Bundy.
I don't know if he'd be as smart though. Honestly, I mean, you got to give it to Ted. He was a fucking smart guy for as sick as he was.
He was, yeah. He got caught because he was so cocky,
Yeah.
because he got away with so long, and his ship, they weren't even on to him at all. So he was like, "Fuck it, I can just, it don't
Oh
matter."
yeah.
And yeah, no matter how smart you are, that fucks you up. But yeah, after all that happens, and yeah, you see them stalking both of them. It's like Crossy's stalking over here, and fucking Ratner's stalking over here. So it's like they had an audience. Well, then you get them rolling down there, and they're having fun again. They're having a great time
Yep.
fucking rolling in this makeshift fucking um, canoe or boat or whatever the fuck it is. And then they're heading to here's the scene, one of the most famous kill scenes in the history of all slashers, and always will be.
Absolutely.
Totally iconic. Totally.
We have the raft scene.
So I mean, you can go and take this one if you want, man.
Yeah, I have just a few things to say about it. One, like you said, yeah, it's just one of the best slasher scenes for sure. And mass killings, like just successive kill after kill. And this is, I think, one of Savini's best sequences with his effects. I mean, we see the kid with the white shirt. I forget his name, but he gets slashed across the chest. The girl who, at the end, she gets her scalp here cut, and then
Oh
the
God,
blood
yeah.
drips down. The only thing that always bothers me, and this is what I was saying earlier and hinting at with the effects, is Fisher's hand after the shears cut his fingers off.
Oh, wait,
It's so big. It's so big. It looks so fake. That one little effect there
yeah.
is just, it takes me out of her for a split second. But my theory on this, because as weird as it is that this is in my top 5 slashers of the 80s, I don't think the kills are in as much abundance as I would like, and I don't think they're as good in this movie after the raft scene. And my theory on that is I think they spent a big portion of their effects budget on the raft scene.
Yeah.
And because of that, because we only get really a few other good kills. The prostitute kill is one. The throat slit with the shears is another good one. Glazers is okay in a bit,
Yeah.
and Cropsy at the end. So I mean, they could have had more kills, or they could have done got a little more inventive with the
Well,
kills. 'Cause even though you're limited to the shears, you can. I feel they could have went a little out more with the kills, but I feel like the raft scene took a lot of work and a lot of money.
well, I noticed this time when I watched it, we're 44, 45 minutes into it before there's actually a kill besides the prostitute.
Yeah, yeah.
First kill there at the camp is like 45 minutes in, and
Hmm.
it's not the volume of kills in this, and it's not a bunch of different great kills like say the Prowler or something like that. What was in this? I just think that this was kind of a less is more or less mixture thing where the couple you got here and there are good, but that one right there in it all banks on that raft scene, and I
Hmm.
love how he legitimizes, and he's talked about this in interviews. Savini has how he legitimizes these shears and the way he does shit like that, just like he did in Friday 13th with the X when he swung it and it hit the light,
Yeah,
and you
it's
could tell
real.
that it was metal hitting metal.
Yep, it's real.
With the shears, he like when he misses and stabs into the wood
Real.
to show you that yeah, this is a real weapon. You know what I mean? So people can go, oh, that's just a rubber. It shoots you, it sticks in there. You're like, damn, because the very next scene right after it sticks in there is the across the forehead.
Yeah, because
So it's like
that's the
I love
trick
how he
that
does that.
Savini used a lot, and it's very effective every time. Using an actual heavy piece, especially even characters lifting an actual axe or something like that, so you could see the in
Mhm.
Misery, Kathy Bates lifting up an actual sledgehammer, the
Yeah,
hobble for the
yeah,
hobble scene, just to show that weight. Then when they have the close up of the foot bend,
so important.
yeah, exactly, and it really does work. It's a great,
Yeah,
effective camera trick and effect.
because when you see her do this, and then it shows and you see the foot go over like
Yep.
this, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
because
because you just saw how she was lifting it, and it was a real, object in her hand.
that's not made of styrofoam. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it just, but yeah, that yeah, I see what you mean, but I think the Fisher thing looks too bad. I have a completely different complaint about that scene that I don't think looks as good. It's
Okay.
Eddie when he's like this and he's got his head here. It makes his neck look that long.
Yeah, I can say that too. Yeah,
That's the only one. You know, he stabs him in the throat and he
yeah,
looks down at it. You know,
because he has the whole fake body there and stuff, and his head was
yeah,
sticking out. And yeah, that's why I say, like, even though it's an infamous scene, like, this is why I don't put this up with Savini's best work. Like, this film, I think it has great work, like all the movies that he worked on. But when you compare it to like Dawn of the Dead, and especially Day of the Dead, and the Prowler especially the double kill with the bayonet through the head and the shower kill, and Friday 4 and stuff, like when you compare it to those movies, I think this is on the lower tier of his work. But again, it's still a great scene. Just some of those effects, the one you mentioned, and for me, the hand thing, and I saw Russell in the comments, a few people say the same thing. Those two little things take it out a little bit, but it probably just the budget they were working with. This was an early film for Savini, like in retrospect, but later films that he would go on to do in the 80s. But I feel like this was probably a lot to do with the budget. And he
yeah,
didn't have as much of a budget to work with
yeah.
to finalize those effects and make the hand look better and make that effect with him getting stabbed in the neck, Eddie, look better than it does. It's probably all money related to
But it
that.
could have been what he was talking about. He may not even been talking about the burn effects. I'm not sure if he may have been talking about that particular stuff we're talking about. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah, it's possible. Yeah, that he was talking
what
about
could have.
the effects in general, or just a few effects in it.
Yeah, just those couple would be enough for someone like him to go, fuck, man.
Oh
It's
yeah,
fucking
for
you
sure.
know? Yeah, yeah, but yeah. Let me see. Meanwhile, while this is going on, Todd and Michelle are just walking through the woods, talking, just bullshitting, you know.
Yep.
And not and then immediately switches over to Glazier and Sally, and you can tell number one, she's never had sex before. Number two, he's trying his best just to dig into that shit as quick as he can. You can tell.
Yep.
And the whole time he said, "Trust me, baby, trust me." You know what I mean? You're gonna love it, you know. And then he gets into there, and 5 seconds later, he's done. Kind of like the
I love that.
speaking of Fast Times, reminds me of the Mike Damone, the Mr. Don Juan, supposedly,
Yep.
and Jennifer Jason Lee, and his foot's shaking, and he's got the sock hanging off his foot. You know,
I love her line too to Glazer when she's
yeah,
like, "Oh, that's it," or something like that. That's great.
yeah. He's like, yeah, and she said something about being cold. Well, he asked her if she's cold, and she said, "Yeah, you didn't do too much to warm me up." And he's like, I'm sorry, Sally, I'm sorry. Blah blah blah. And she's like, yeah, trust me, baby, trust me. And
Great stuff.
and yeah, he's like, yeah, so I suppose you want to go back, and she's like, no, 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 I want to stay here. And he goes, do you mean it? Do you really mean it?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I think so. I was like,
And that's where you
okay.
see how much how crazy he is about her.
So yeah, and and you also find out here that, hey, man, fucking Alfred actually took a break from Spinal, and he at least let him have sex,
I know, right?
but he was still wide awake. So how much of it did he miss? When he seen Glazier getting up, did he take it back off then? Probably.
Too bad he didn't have a VHS recorder, or camera, or something like that, because he'd been filming that shit if he was there.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why he'd have a crush on her shit, but damn, dude. But he goes back to get the matches to start the fire, which I'm wondering why Todd and Michelle are not looking for Glacier and Sally. You already got one that disappeared. The canoes have disappeared. Why are they not looking for these two?
Yeah. Oh,
They're
one
both
thing also with the raft scene that I always laugh at, of two things actually. One, Cropsy was just laying down in that in that canoe, waiting for the off
for how
chance
long,
that they came
man?
by. Like he's fucking dedicated. He's
He
just
knew,
laying in that canoe for mad long. Like
he
he's
knew they didn't
like,
have a chance. He
yeah,
knew they didn't have a choice, and he knew that being a part of Boy Scouts, blah 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 blah, that
yep,
somebody knew how to build something to at least head out, to at least come that way. He knew somebody was
yeah.
going to come closer.
And check for the
And
canoes. And that's why he cut the
yeah,
canoes in the first place, because he knew they would go after them. And the shot, and it's such an infamous shot, like we said, with the shears overhead. I think they use the same exact shot multiple times in the raft scene, because every time they show it, it glistens like it's
yeah,
clean as can be. There's no
yeah,
blood on it and stuff. So again, it's probably with the budget and them just trying to save time.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I had something I was going to say, but I completely forgot. But yeah, he goes back to get the matches, and that's when you find out that Alfred is still awake. Of course, this time he has to follow him back. So that tells me he just ran back when Glazer got up. So you know, he hadn't been asleep. He hadn't been laying there no longer than fucking 10 seconds when he got there. He comes back just in time. Well, oh shit. While he's there doing that, Sally thinks it's fucking Glazer coming back, and fucking, of course, it's it's Dropsy, and it's a scene
No.
that kind of puts you in mind of Fight for Keith Part 5 goes later
Mhm.
with Tina, Deborah Voorhees with the shears,
Yeah. Yeah.
except for it doesn't go into does he cut her fucking head off?
In 5, I think
Well,
he puts what?
no, in the burning.
Oh, in this one, okay. I don't know, because there's 2 kills in this movie, right? That they cut away, that we don't see the full kill.
Because her body's not in that sleeping bag. Because remember, Cropsy's in the sleeping bag.
Yeah, so I think he did cut her head off, but we just don't see the decapitation.
Right? You just kind of see the head poking out. But there couldn't be 2 bodies in a sleeping bag like that. He would have noticed that shit. He
Yeah,
would have
no,
seen
exactly. He
that.
would have known that, well, who the fuck is in there with my girl?
So yeah,
So
just the
yeah,
head.
it makes sense that he cut her head off, and that's what I mean. Like if we saw that decapitation, and Savini could do it, I think it was again just the budget, and maybe they could, or maybe the effect didn't work. Maybe they did film it
time,
and
maybe.
it just didn't come out right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, I thought that was pretty. He's a slick hiding motherfucker, man,
Yeah.
and very patient. And also, oh, the point I was gonna make earlier about the whole rap scene is that's the only time I think that's ever happened in a slasher movie where they get that many victims all at one fucking time. Like he just
Yeah.
bombarded these fuckers and just went nuts and just started killing all of them. They didn't have a chance to do shit.
Yeah, I can't think of many others off the top of my head like that big of a mass kill. Because there's five of them, right? The guy with the white shirt,
Because
the
they were
girl at the end, Fisher, Woodstock. So there's four, and is there and Eddie, right?
there's what's her name is in there? I can't remember her fucking name. Um, I'm trying to think of her goddamn
But
name.
yeah, four or five people. I mean, that yeah, you're right. That's definitely one of the few that
Diane,
sticks in my head.
Diane was in there, I think.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that he's just that's that's the only time I ever seen that happen in a slasher movie. Like
Yeah.
that, it just blows people's minds. No matter what, everybody still goes, "Oh, this is the part." No matter what, everybody's still like that.
Oh yeah, you do any look at any list of scene best or most iconic scenes in a slasher film. This scene is up there. Like it'll always be on a list like that, and
Yeah.
for good reason.
When he goes, "Hey, baby, I'm back to I'm back. I'm getting to warm shit up," and he pops out and gets bombarded. He didn't get a chance to ship and get picked up and taken to the tree,
Yep, and
which
that's a
is
good
fucking
kill.
cool. This is very cool, yeah. Which of course, little Alfred seen that because he was spying on everything. I don't know how. Considering Cropsey was stalking him the whole time, how did he not see Cropsey watching? Was he just too busy staring at Sally?
I guess that explains it. I guess he had tunnel vision. It's like, oh shit, I'm spying on these girls. I'm spying on Glazer with his girl and stuff. I apparently missed the sex because I was too late, but it was only 5 seconds anyway. And then he's just not paying attention to his surroundings. And he doesn't seem like the type of person who would be that observant of his surroundings either.
Yeah, because just before this, just right before this, before Todd crashes out, when he goes back to wake up Todd and tell him what's going on, Todd and Michelle had went off and done their thing. So he was so worried about that one, he missed that one. So it's like, damn, dude. So he goes back, wakes him up, and and that's when Todd's like, dude, you better not be fucking with me, man.
Yep.
He's like, no, I'm serious. Blah blah. Glacier's dead. He killed Glacier, and he's like, who killed it? The face, the burnt face I seen. It's him. So he's like, all right, man. So he runs back with him. They go back to see what's going on there because you can tell he just runs up kind of nonchalantly, and then that's when they find that's when they find the scene. But before he can even soak it in, fucking this when you think Todd gets wiped out because he gets that. See, he loves slicing people across the forehead because he catches Todd in the forehead. He just don't catch
Yeah.
him nearly as well. So you think Todd's done, of course. And then Alfred's on the run and he's after him, and they spend the whole third act pretty much him chasing Alfred and Alfred hiding, and um, so when Todd wakes up, he don't know where they're at. He heads back to let Michelle know, and then that's when they well before he gets back, she swims out because the raft floats back. And then she swims out there to check it out and finds all the chopped up body. I mean, they
That's a
weren't just
great
cut up, they were
scene.
chopped in pieces.
Great scene.
So then the next thing after that, you get this kid just sitting around the rocks crying and shit because they ain't have nowhere to go. They're miles away. It took a whole day to get there from their other camp.
And they got no
But,
canoes.
yeah. Well, they have that one now.
Yeah, if they want to
Yeah.
really move all those dead bodies off it.
Yeah. Well, she pretty much does because
Yeah.
she hops on that one and takes who's left, while Todd stays there and goes and looks for goes looks for Alfred. She throws ever they just have to deal with it because either that or stay there around somebody that's chopping people in pieces.
And that's what I like about her character is that she's got balls. Like she's a fucking great female character in this.
She was an 8 is enough, I think.
Yeah.
It seems like she was one of the sisters because there was like there was eight kids in Ada's enough. I think she was she may have been second or third oldest sister, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah,
Of 8. Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, eight is enough was a thing at this time still, I do believe. But yeah, she heads back there to let people know to get some help, and they go for the helicopter and all this. Todd goes looking for him. So now you've got Todd looking for Alfred and his killer, and Cropsey stalking Alfred, and Alfred hiding. So here's the dynamic here. Yeah, I put it down pretty well here. It's pretty entertaining. It's here. Yeah, here. Damn it, it's funny the way I see. Told them to go. Yeah. So here it is. Yeah, it was something like that. I don't remember, but yeah, it was something along that line. But yeah, it's Alfred running from Cropsey, Cropsey looking for Alfred, Todd trying to find both of them. So yeah, finally catches Alfred, and they go into for the last scene. I always thought it was a little shocking how he used the flamethrower. It's almost like he wanted revenge in that way on him, because
Yeah.
he's the only one at that time that knew, because it's when it starts the flashbacks and showing you, from Todd's mind, from Todd's point of view, when he's going to look for him and shit, that that he was the one that was there. He was one of the ones. So obviously Cropsey knows this, because he would recognize him even if he is 5 years old.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is only 5 years.
Right. And he's still a young man. He's
Now-
probably in his early 20s.
Now, did Cropsey, since this is a different camp than Camp Blackfoot, I forget the name of that we get in when it shows the name of this one. Did Cropsey know Todd worked here? Did he track down Todd specifically, or is it just a coincidence that he went to this camp and Todd was working at this camp now? That's something I always wondered.
My guess is he probably did. He probably
looked into it, probably.
Yes, checked into it, found it out, because it's Camp Stonewater. Yeah,
Stonewater, that's it. Yeah,
he looked that up, found that out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Of course, he would have known a lot of the numbers and a lot of the different places to get a hold of to find out this kind of information.
Yeah, and he would probably know. Maybe he worked at this camp in the past, like before Blackfoot. Like it seems like he was probably doing this, working at camps for a decent amount of years. So maybe he just knew this camp as well.
Maybe it's the same camp. They just changed it after
the name. I was thinking that also. I was thinking maybe they changed the name 5 years later. They don't say that. As far as I know, all the times I've seen it, they don't say it, that they changed the name. But that's a possibility, yeah, that they changed the name, and this was Blackfoot 5 years ago, and maybe they changed the name because of the incident that happened with Cropsey.
Yeah, that got him a lot of bad press and a lot of bullshit like that.
That makes sense, actually. I'm glad we brought that up. That makes a lot of sense.
And of course, that's the one that Todd works at.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes back there because that's the camp that he knows, Cropsey, and just happens to get lucky that Todd's there too.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good theory on it.
Yeah, because he didn't kill him. He didn't kill Alfred.
Yeah.
He just tied him and pinned him with the shears up against there to lure Todd in there.
Yeah, Todd was his intended target.
Yeah, he was gonna flamethrow Todd. He wanted him to know what it felt like to burn.
Yeah, in that fitting poetic justice way.
So, the only thing that saves him from that, because shit flying down and knocking out Todd again, and then he gets him and knocks him down. He's coming toward him with a flamethrower, and he's lucky that Alfred. It's funny, the little creepy guy that caused so much trouble ends up, saving his ass, standing in the back with those shears.
Yeah.
And he falls down. Of course, you got to have the last little scene where he helps back up for the last kill, for that last little scare.
Yep.
And then, goddamn, if it's Alfred that fucking does it again, isn't it? Or no, it's Todd with the axe to the head.
Todd axes him.
With that fucking head, yeah. I've heard a lot of people say, they could do, a sequel and stuff. Is it not with Cropsey or not? Because he's burned again. He's got an axe buried in his head about that fucking deep.
Oh yeah, and then he gets burned. again.
Unless you bring him back with lightning like you did Jason and all that bullshit, he's not coming back.
Yeah, no, he's deader than dead. And there is one thing in this end, like the last 10, 15, when they're in this, what is it, mine shaft, right? When they're in this like little shaft.
Yeah.
And it's a very weird decision. And again, I'm guessing because of budget reasons or time constraints, and they just didn't have footage. But and you probably know what I'm about to say. There's a still image of one of the girls. I can't tell, you can barely tell who it is, but one of the girls who was killed in the mine shaft, and it's literally a still image. And they flash it on the screen, then they flash it again, and then that's all you see of that. So I don't know if they just like they lost the footage or something for like filming the girl's body and they only had a still and they just threw that up because it's very jarring when you see it.
That was Karen, probably.
It probably was Karen, because you can barely tell from the still that they
Remember,
throw up there.
that they never found her.
Yeah, so that would make sense. Especially that you can't tell who it is because she's probably all fucked up looking, So that with the quality of the image, because Jack Shoulder edited this.
Did it have a head?
I think it
Like,
does actually. I'm scanning right now to see that that picture because every time I see this movie, I notice it. I say, I don't know what the story with that is, and I forgot to ask Jack when I had him on the channel because this was his first thing before he did Alone in the Dark and directed that.
I didn't realize Jack had edited this.
Yeah, he edited this film, which I didn't know until a few days before I talked to him when I was checking out, any credentials I forgot about him. He edited this, and that's how he became close with Bob Shea at New Line.
Yeah, because Alone in the Dark was made the very next year in '82.
Yeah, in '82. Yep.
Well, damn, their friendship grew quick, and he gave his ass a job fast.
Yeah, and then he did Nightmare 2 after that. He did Nightmare 2 was his next film after Alone in the Dark.
Well, it's well known usually. I mean, it started with Wes Craven. Well, it didn't start with him, but as far as the recent whatever memory that and anybody who could edit really well like that, like Wes Craven was a great editor.
Mm-hmm.
They can usually make good films, like direct and shit like that. They're usually, if they can edit good, they can usually direct good.
Yeah. Because you, especially like, and you could tell because you edit and you got into editing too and stuff. And when you edit and stuff and you get decently good at it, you could definitely see that, because then you're used to seeing how you want things to play out. You're used to editing clips together and stuff and exactly or timing it with music to right at the right beat and everything. So you can definitely see that you can move on to directing a film.
It's like arranging, like I've probably written 1,000 songs in my life. It's just like arranging your song.
Exactly.
Arrangement to a song is the number one important thing to a song. So they say, oh, it's got to have great. Before it has great lyrics, you got to make it to where somebody wants to hear those lyrics, and in order to do that, it's got to have
you need the
melody.
It has
something about it that is catchy, and in order to make it catchy, you got to have the proper arrangement.
Yep, and you need a good melody on top of it, and that's what draws people in to listen to those words, like you said.
Yeah, then you're holding up the thing, like see you can't understand. You're holding up to see what the lyrics are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It has to make you want to give a fuck what the lyrics are first. But if you hear the music and all that shit, and you're like, oh, I don't give a fuck, you're never gonna know.
Exactly. You're not going to pay attention to lyrics. You're not going to listen any further because if it's not working for you, the melody, then it's not going to work.
Miriam Weinstein, which was the Weinstein's mother, was a pre-production assistant on it.
Makes sense. That they probably had a decent number of friends and family that helped with this, being their first movie.
You talk about Rick Wakeman, man, and he really fucked up. They offered him a cut or whatever of the profits that the film made,
mm-hmm.
To sign a thing, to get profits from it, as it was making money rather than
residuals or stuff.
Just his base salary rather than just his base salary, and he turned them down because he didn't think it was going to do anything.
I read that. Yeah, and yeah, he definitely messed up with that because yeah, I mean, at the time I could see that decision because like just like with with Friday the 13th or any of those slashers, nobody knew that it was going to blow up Friday, especially. This didn't blow up like we talked about at the very beginning of this, but no one could have saw 15, 20 years later, plus years later, that this was going to come back in a big way as a cult classic
Victor
and a
Miller.
slasher classic. So, I mean, in hindsight, yeah, it sucks looking back at that and saying he should have signed that contract. But at the time, I can definitely see why he didn't.
A la Victor Miller. You should have brought
Yeah.
that lawyer in, should have spent that
Yeah.
extra money, should have taken that
Otherwise,
extra time.
we wouldn't have had this whole lawsuit and delay in the Friday series all these years.
Yeah, because Cunningham wouldn't have been able to just pocket all the shit and say fuck you, which he shouldn't have anyway. If he had integrity,
Yeah.
I wish more people on this planet had more integrity, man. It'd be so much better place to be.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I had CJ Graham on, we brought up Victor Miller's and the lawsuit between him and Cunningham, and he said the same thing. And what a lot of us think that in due respect to both of those men, there's plenty of money to go around from that franchise, and the only people that are being hurt are the fans. And that was right out of CJ's mouth, and it was very sincere, and it was a good point that he brought up, and I think most of us can agree with that. The fans are the ones that made that franchise what it is. So I mean,
Like whether he
the
was going
whole
to help
petty,
Victor or not.
yeah, the
Well, you
whole
know what,
bickering is only hurting the fans.
even if you're too greedy to want to help Victor, you should at least want to help him just to get the shit done so that you can give these people some more fucking Friday the 13th movies.
Exactly.
Damn, dude. You're that fucking greedy? You don't give a
Exactly.
fuck about the fans at all?
And there's so much, like we said, so much money in that franchise. Fucking millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's like, are you that, it's money that important to you that fucking millions of dollars isn't good enough, then you need more than that. And you're only hurting everybody who made you get those millions in the first place.
Yep. He stole all these years, man. Spent all he had on legal shit to try to get his cut. Meanwhile, Sean Cunningham sitting there fucking living in fucking lap of fucking luxury. That's fucking ridiculous, man.
Yep.
I have no respect at all for
Cunningham. Yeah.
Zero. No. It's Alexander's first role. It's Holly Hunter's first role. It's Ned Eisenberg that played Eddie, and Brian Becker that played Alfred, and
Ratner, yeah.
Played in they were both in a movie called Moving Violations. Have you ever seen Moving Violations?
I've heard of it. I don't think I ever did see it.
It's got a very young Jennifer Tilly in it when her sister.
Oh, okay. That's probably why I heard of it with Megan Tilly.
And it's the one film where they tried to push Bill Murray's little brother, and he's the star of it. I can't remember Chad or no, I don't remember. It's something Murray, but it's their youngest brother, and he acts just like Bill.
Yeah.
It's and also stars Keach, not Stacy Keach, but his brother. You see, this is based on the Cropsey legend of course, I'm sure you know about the Cropsey legend of upstate New York.
Yeah, yep. This is based on that, and there actually have been some other movies. I think one or two other horror movies. One is called Cropsey, and so that's based on that legend.
There's a 2009 documentary too.
Yeah, documentary also. Yep. So at least Cropsey did get some more movies and documentaries about that legend and stuff. But the fact that we never got a sequel to this movie and we got so many Friday the 13th, I mean, it does make it more special, like we were talking earlier, that it doesn't have a sequel. I do have a soft spot for slashers that don't have sequels. Blood Rage, Intruder, the Prowler. I don't really. There's a lot of pacing issues in it for me, but that's another good one. A lot of those standalone pieces, and so like it makes it special that they're just one-time films and that's it.
Nightmare and Damaged Brain.
Nightmare and Damaged Brain. There's so many of them that I mean, and then you look at the other side and you see Silent Night, Deadly Night, and then all the sequels to that. Like, and that's a much smaller slasher franchise compared to the big ones like Nightmare, Texas Chainsaw, Halloween, Friday, but it definitely gives them more of a charm and more love
Right.
Like when
Hey, guys,
it feels more special. Hey, Cal.
man, I guess
Excuse
and
me.
I don't know why they've never put this out or why Screen Factory didn't try to get hold of it or whatever. But I guess there's a lot of extra scenes, cropsy scenes that had never been used.
That one I didn't know.
Um, Cropsy's legs when he's on fire there in the abandoned copper mine. That's Tom Savini's leg.
That I knew. Yeah, yeah. Savini
So
liked doing that. He liked inserting his
he loves
hands or
things.
body and stuff into his effects work, like in
See,
obviously Friday the 13th with his hands, which still looks to me. I still don't care for that because the hairy knuckles on him with Betsy Palmer's decapitation. You
uh,
know it's not Betsy's hands, but it's cool that he inserted that in there.
that's Tasso's hands. That's his buddy Tasso's hands.
Oh, it's not Savini. I always thought it
Nope,
was Savini for some reason. I knew it was a guy, and because
that's
you see the hair on the
Tasso.
knuckles.
You know, Tasso from Dawn of the Dead, the one that's
Yeah,
getting ripped in two pieces. And he's going
yeah.
yeah.
Great
He
kill in that. And I think in
he
Dawn,
was his right hand man for years.
I think he did great in Dawn, Savini, with a lot of his kills because he's acting on camera and pulling the effects off at the same time.
Oh yeah, yeah. He I loved and it was kind of innovative at the time. The machete in the head and how they just backed it up. He's ponder and then he pulled it
Yep.
out and then he just had it where he put it in like this. You can see a little bit of the timing weirdness in there, but
Yeah.
you're gonna get that with it.
Same with I love when he does when when he's on the motorcycle, it comes by and the decapitation. That's another great one with him doing the actual effect. And with the machete when he's slicing right here on the guy on the floor on the zombie and he's
Mhm.
slicing that part, that looks really cool too. All of the effects that he pulls off himself as an actor on camera and Dawn is very creative, and it's good to see him pulling them off himself, like on camera.
What do you think as far as slasher wise? What do you think is his best effects? I mean, as far as the whole film goes,
What so
his
like 80s slashers, like with
his
what
favorite is Prowler, his personal favorite.
of Savini's slasher effects? Probably. I mean, the Prowler with the white of the eyes with the bayonet, that is up
That's
there.
crazy.
That's
That's
up there with
crazy.
one of his best because that's unbelievable. It looks so fucking good to this day. And even and the pitchfork too, and the one in the pool. The kills are great in the Prowler. It's just the pacing is very hit or miss for me. It's not a favorite slasher of mine because of the pacing. But
The acting so good
Maniac
too.
has some of his best work too.
Oh yeah.
The head explosion, of course, that's one of the best head explosions in horror.
Yeah, he does good scalpings too. I like the
Yeah,
scalpings.
the scalping is great in Maniac. All those effects look great. Um, I mean, his magnum opus, I always say, is Day of the Dead. But
Definitely.
since we're just talking slashers, probably my favorite would be maybe Jason's kill in Part 4, like him killing off his
Oh
creation
my
and him killing
God, man.
Jason.
I remember seeing it as a kid. I was let me
Yep,
see
me
that came
too.
out in
That was
'84.
amazing.
It came out in '84, right? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Chelsea goes and he's like, oh, and he falls down his fucking thing and slides in there. And you
That's
can see the
such a
fucking
great
eyeball going up
detail.
and down the kid. It's like you can see him like it was registering to Jason's brain that's sliding into it. You
Yep.
know, with the eyebrow bouncing up and down and shit.
It looks so good. And that just
Sliding
that
down the corner.
decision to slide
Oh,
down, the slide down was such a great addition.
it's like, oh fuck. And I mean, how many times did you ever hear Jason go, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of
He never shows pain or audible pain or anything. So
that,
that adds to that kill also. Good
she,
point.
she,
Good point.
she had just chopped between his fingers, let's split it all the way down to here.
That's a great effect too.
And he just kind of looked at it. But when it
Yep.
chops in his head, he's like, oh, he's like, damn, he just
I
made Jason holler.
I think at that point it's just because it's probably just a natural reaction from the brain, from brain trauma, from being sliced right through your skull into your head. It's probably involuntary. Like if Jason didn't mean to say anything or like utter a sound, but it's just natural reaction. You got stabbed in the head with a fucking machete.
I think that's why they did it with the eyebrow too. It was because because when you couldn't brain like that, you were getting a lot of nerves. and I guess why he had it bouncing up and down like that.
That's another great detail too. Savini has such an eye for detail like that in his effects work, which is why I have in my intro for the channel for videos and stuff ending with Torres's head rip in Day of the Dead, because that vocal cord stretching and that is such a great little detail to throw into that kill, and that elevates the kill and makes it so much more disturbing.
Yeah, because everybody knows as you stretch the vocals, they get higher.
Exactly, and just that he thought of that to throw that in there is brilliant.
Yeah, I think the kills in Friday 13th Part 4, so many of them were so good, and I think that's why they sucked Part 5 so bad with the effects and all the censoring.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
4 was the pinnacle of the effects work in Friday.
Yeah. The only one
Another one I love is what's his name? Is it Rob? No, Rob's the one in the basement getting killed. He was also in Hell Night. Went in the shower kill when he gets his face crushed against the ceramic wall. That is an awesome kill.
Peter Horton, yeah.
Yeah, Peter Horton. That's a great kill. I think that still looks great to this day.
He just got some good pussy, and he might even be falling in love, and he knows, she's digging him, and he's like,
and he thinks this is Freddy. He said, "Don't drop the soap, good buddy," and then just crashes through. The face gets crushed in, and then crushed in more. It really looks good. Like, even though it's a dummy head, it looks great. I love that kill.
Yeah, that was just a couple of years after he had suffered a pretty nasty fate in Hell Night, but not nearly as nasty as
Oh,
he was so fucking happy. He was just thrilled, man.
That's a great kill. Also, Crispin Glover's obviously with the corkscrew and the machete. You've seen the uncut kills from 4 that they released, right? A few years back.
Yeah.
Some of them I think are better cut, and some I think are better extended. And Crispin Glover's is one I think is a little better extended.
Have you seen the corkscrew? Ted?
Yeah. Where's the goddamn corkscrew? But it lingers on the machete a bit longer in his face on the uncut kill. So I like that. Sam's kill, is that her name? The one in the float.
Yes.
I don't like that. Her face, her dying face with the tongue staying. That looks awful.
Not well.
Yeah, that's not good like acting at all. And the extended version is worse because you see it for longer. But then there is a cool top-down shot that they cut from the final kill that you see just from the sky looking down on the float, and you see her full body, and you see her naked, completely naked. And so that's all right, but I'm glad they cut that one.
What was the film that had the girl with the horrible scream where she gets stabbed? Wasn't it Prowler? Did she get stabbed in the shower with a pitchfork?
In the Prowler?
Yeah.
In the pitchfork.
Where she screams, where she goes, ah!
Yeah. And the way he lifts her up, too. That's great.
It's like, don't let her scream, man.
And I love how that's like a riff on the Psycho shower scene, except that we see it all in the Prowler scene. In Psycho, it's all suggestion. We don't see the knife going into Marion at all. And then that's like a nice little colored and updated riff on that scene, where this time we see all of it. That pitchfork scene's brutal.
Well, Hitchcock was great at that, man, because you know for years I could have swore we seen fucking Janet Leigh butt naked and everything in that shower. Yeah. I could have swore we did.
Oh yeah.
And then I seen it again about 10 years ago, and I was like, did they cut that shit up? And then I thought, no, that was 1960, first of all. But I could have swore it showed it. It just showed it in a certain way where you felt like you seen everything on Janet.
Oh yeah, and you think that you see the knife stabbing her and going in, and you don't see any of it. I think it's 72 cuts, 72 shots that he edited together. 70 something, pretty sure 72.
70 something, yeah, because that's what that documentary is called, 72 and something.
Okay, yeah. That's just amazing editing work, camera work, all of it. I mean, but Alfred Hitchcock was a master with that.
Isn't it strange though? The whole reason that movie is black and white and not colored is because of the shower scene and the blood going down the drain.
Yep.
Yet he used chocolate syrup.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't have looked that realistic in color.
But you know what I mean? That's well, he decided on the chocolate syrup after, but
No,
he
yeah, because then you figured
wanted
it'll
to
look
black and
fine.
white, so it wouldn't show all the blood. And then he didn't even use anything that was going to be the color blood.
Yeah. Well, like you
So
said, at that point, after the decision to make in black and white, he could use something that's not red, because it's not going to pick up. Even if it looks texture-wise, it looks fine. Like it looks great going down the drain.
somebody as sick as him was worried about making it black and white because it might be too much blood.
I mean, I think it was the
Yeah,
best choice because that I can't imagine Psycho in color.
right. I'm
But I
glad they
mean,
did
we've
it.
seen it. We've seen it with the terrible remake that nobody speaks of. But
Yeah. Well, there's
that,
no point. It's exactly like that one. There's
yeah,
no point.
there's no
It's
point at
not
all to
nearly
it.
as good, except for just not nearly as good. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just don't have the legendary performances and actors and stuff.
Mm. I mean, the only thing they added to it that wasn't in the original was the insinuation that Norman was peeking through that hole jerking off.
Yeah,
That's the only
yeah, that he was masturbating, looking at Marion. Yep, that's the only thing
I don't
added to
think
that
that would have made
film.
it good.
That's the only thing
1960,
added.
I think it might have been shut down in 1960 if
Yeah,
Norman was if Tony Perkins was on the other side jerking off.
yeah, that's the only. That's literally the only thing they add in that remake.
Otherwise, it's scene for scene. It's like that.
Mhm.
It's like he said, "Man, I want you to do it just like Anthony Perkins." And he's like, "Well, dude, I mean, I'm not Anthony Perkins, man.
Yeah,
It's like I want you to stutter like he did." And
and a
he's like,
lot of.
"Well, I do my best, dude, but shit, man."
Yeah, it's like you're telling me to act like Anthony Perkins. It's Psycho. Like that's one hell of that's some pressure being on an actor.
You know, I wonder if he started at one point and said, "Man, I'm gonna try to make this my own." But as it went along, and he seen it wasn't gonna work out very well, and I think maybe he got cold feet and got like spineless as he was going along there, and just decided, well, fuck it, let's just go with what we know and try to make it like they did it, because I'm afraid to fuck with it.
Yeah, that's great. But
Um,
yeah, this is just a top tier slasher film, The Burning. Like always, as soon as I saw it, not the first time, like I said, when I was young, and I remember renting it because I remember the VHS cover. I don't remember what the cover was, but I know it's not the one you see today. Like
yeah.
with the shears with the white cover and stuff. It wasn't like the one behind me. It wasn't that I can remember. It was a different one. But they had a lot of covers for that movie.
The original cover, for what I remember, was like this, man.
Yeah, let me see.
Uh, this was one of the original posters for it.
Is it red? That's the one I remember. It
You
has
got
the
this,
shears, but it's not the white one like behind me. I'm pretty sure it's that one.
and then well, you had three of them. You had that one, and then you had where it had burning at the top, and I think it might have been red around it, and he was standing up doing that iconic look. And then you had the other one with it showing that with it showing this, except
I know that one too. Yeah. That you still see a lot more often on streaming services and stuff as the poster.
I have, as a matter of fact, I have that original one sheet poster now of the burning.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
I have that motherfucker straight from 1981, and that's the one, 41 by 27. I'm getting ready to line them up. Mother's Day, and all of them. I just ordered pieces. Pieces is on its way. I know the pieces original one sheet.
That's awesome. Pieces was just a blast. That was a blast when we did that for my birthday, watching it.
I'm falling behind on my movies because I'm picking up original theatrical shit that actually hung there in the theater at that time, and getting an
Yeah.
original 1981 fucking The Burning and shit like and shit like Pieces and shit, 1982 Pieces.
Yeah.
Fucking great. That kind of shit, I just love that shit.
It's funny. I just found today, digging through a closet, an old Castle Freak figure. I have a Castle Freak, but this one was a Japanese exclusive version that he has a bag over his head, like a sack over his head. So and
Yeah.
I looked it up on eBay. That shit goes for like $60, $70. I completely had I haven't seen that thing in 20 years probably. And I stumbled upon it. I said, holy shit. I said, I completely forgot there was a different version of this Castle Freak figure.
Man, that's one I don't have. Hell yeah. They
Yeah,
need
the
to make
only
a
that's the
Cropsy,
only
man.
difference is the sack on it. It's like a black sack. I'm pretty sure that's the only difference.
They need to make a good Cropsy. They need to make a good
Yeah.
Worm Face from Zombie.
Chrome Skull. Do they have a
Yeah.
Chrome Skull figure? But I don't think they do.
Nope. They have a behind the they have a Leslie Vernon, but
Leslie
they made
Vernon's great.
one of
That's
them.
a great movie.
Yeah, I thought about I want to do that one too, man. I've got a list of just here. I some of the ones I didn't send to you. Let me tell you really quick.
That would be a cool one to do with you because I've been wanting to do that movie for like over a year and I keep never getting to it.
I did a watch of it about a year or so ago, but I'm just sick of doing watches, man. I still like doing them here and there, but it's like everybody does them now, man. And it's
I
like,
know.
Jesus, man. And they all want to do them at the same fucking time.
Yeah.
At 11 o'clock tonight, and then you see somebody else. I'm doing 11 o'clock tonight, and it's like 6 different fucking people in the same community.
Yeah.
The original Slumber Party, and you mentioned
Yeah.
Slumber Party 2. I haven't seen Slumber Party 2 since I was probably 20 years.
Yeah. I love that one. I watch it more. I watch it probably every year.
Of course, the Mutilator and Intruder. We talked about that.
Yeah, definitely those.
Hills Run Red. Do you like Hills Run Red?
Hills Run Red is good. I haven't seen it in a while, but I keep seeing it when I'm browsing. I forget if it's Tubi or if it's on Shutter, but I got to throw that one back on. That'll be a good one to do.
Underrated. It's a
Yeah.
little underrated.
Oh yeah.
I would like for us to do like The Howling also, man.
Howling is good. Howling is basically like a slasher with werewolves.
Yeah. Have you seen the Woman?
No. What's that from? What year?
That's a film from Lucky McKee, and
Okay, I know Lucky McKee. He did
maybe,
May.
maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I love May. I love that movie.
It kind of puts you. It's not like it, but it's got a lot of the same vibe as like say Dead Girl
Dead Girl's a good movie. That's a fun one.
with Shiloh Hernandez and shit, where they keep the girl down the basement.
Yeah. I haven't seen that probably since it released, but I remember when that came out on like IFC Demand. Is that an IFC movie? Pretty sure it's an IFC film.
Oh, I don't have the new Unearthed version yet, but I'm wanting to get it.
If it's not an IFC film, it was played on some type of demand similar to IFC back when it came out. I don't think I've seen it since then, like since it first came out.
It's a book here somewhere. I got it somewhere. I don't remember if it is or not. But yeah, Dolls Who Can Kill a Child. I would like to, the first two Sleepaway Camps for sure. If we make that a double feature, I will pick the first one if you pick the second one.
Yeah, I love, like we were saying, we love both for the different reasons.
Yeah, I love both of them. The second one is so much fun. Pamela Springsteen is so fantastic.
She's so great.
And you just the fun factor couldn't be much higher than it is in that one.
It's one of my favorite 80s slashers, like the campy ones, like almost horror comedy, like bordering on. It's one of my it's one of the most fun 80s slashers, I would say. Definitely one of the most fun sequels to in an 80s slasher.
We were talking about her here several months ago, and we were talking about how the only thing
Pamela,
remember her doing was Sleepaway 2 and 3. I seen something else. I noticed something else that she is in. She's not in a lot. She plays one of the cheerleaders during the part where they're trying to get everybody all hyped up in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Okay.
The two cheerleaders are they're cheering and all this,
Mm-hmm.
and they go, it's really hard to do what we do when that everybody laughs at it.
Oh, okay. I never knew.
That's Pamela Springsteen.
I never knew that.
Because remember, that's her and that's the other chick, Kelly Maroney or whatever.
Kelly Maroney, yeah.
From the Comet. That's the two that's doing that. I was like, fuck that.
That's funny. I never noticed that because I know she quit acting, like right after those. There's two Sleepaway Camp sequels and that.
I thought that was all she did. I was like, holy shit, there she is.
Yeah, that's a good pivot.
it makes you kind of understand why she said fuck it, because she looks over her brother and he's this fucking iconic fucking musician of all time, and
Yeah,
there
I
she
know, right?
is. She gets a tiny little part where most people I remember seeing her in Fast Times, and then Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. It's
Yeah,
like she came to a point and was like, if that's this as far as I can get with being my brother's sister, then fuck it, man. I'm gonna go open up a fucking fucking dead shop or something.
yeah. I mean, I wish she would come back to acting. And take care, Chris. Have a good night, buddy.
Yeah, take it easy, man. Thanks.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wish you
but
I wish you would come back to, or at least do conventions once in a while.
she refuses.
Imagine her with Felissa Rose together, like doing Sleepaway Camp,
Dude,
like reunion
just
of
her
one
coming
through
to a
three.
con, just her coming to a con, people would flock to it.
Oh,
If
absolutely.
she was there, everybody else would be like, "What the fuck's wrong with me?" Because they would be up her ass because everybody loves her.
Oh yeah, and then just seeing her at a con for the first time, like people would absolutely be lining up.
She's she's ashamed of it, obviously, man. So I don't know, which is too bad. But
Yeah,
whatever. Um, but yeah, that was review of the burning. Okay, so what was we talking about doing as the
with
movies
the
gonna be
double.
a double feature, right?
Yeah, I think the Mutilator and Intruder make a good double feature because of the kills being so excellent in both of them.
Right, right. Okay, yeah.
That
That,
one sounds
yeah,
good. I don't know
that
when we're getting Mutilator too. I know it's filmed and everything, and it just they don't want it to see the light of day. A lot of the people who worked on it.
are they going with Mutilator 2, or they're not gonna go with Full Breakthrough?
Uh, yeah, no, the Mutilator 2, yeah, is the name for it. They released a trailer like a year ago or over a year ago now, and it's
I,
made and everything, but no one wants to distribute it. No company wants to distribute it. And Damien Maffei, who played Baghead in The Strangers Pray at Night, and also in Haunt, he played the demon with the fucking the devil dude. And I was talking to him, and he said he's in Mutilator too, and he was saying the same thing. He was like, we are all hoping that movie doesn't see the light of day because it's awful. And Buddy Cooper
so,
thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But no one wants to distribute it. No one wants to fucking put that movie out. So who knows when
that's
we'll get that?
bad. That's bad because studios know slashers will do well. So
Yeah,
if
yeah,
if they're looking at this and going, ah, cool, it's gonna be Mutilator 2, and they're thinking about the other one, and they're like, yeah, we got this new slasher, and it's gonna be a sequel to an old fucking cult classic. And then they watch it and they go, holy shit, no, we're not gonna
yeah.
be that's
Exactly. That's
bad.
why I want to see it, just to see how bad it is that all these studios are passing on it.
Dude, they distributed fucking Aqua Slash. They distributed the fucking Pool Party Massacre. And if you ever seen that, man, you know that's a low budget motherfucker.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I have seen that one.
It's
I,
I
some of
mean,
those low budget ones, like "Don't Go in the Woods Alone,"
oh,
is
like
another
from
real low budget one.
it's all everything in Don't Go in the Woods Alone. The effects, the acting, everything is as low as you can possibly go without any
Yeah,
effort.
it really is. I'm glad someone though in the I think it was Chris mentioned, or was it Russell? I think it was Chris mentioned. Don't Go in the House from '79, which I love that film, and
So
it
do I.
links to this movie because they wanted to call that film The Burning. And it was like being like shot and stuff, I think around the same time that the script was being like pushed, and the name The Burning for this was out there already, so they decided to change the name, and they changed it to Don't Call in the House. But that was originally going to be called The Burning, and it makes a lot of sense too with Donnie, how he was tortured by his mom.
This was going to originally be called the Prophecy Mania.
I heard that. Yeah, I don't
I'm
like that.
glad it didn't. I'm glad it
Yeah,
didn't.
I don't like that title. The Burning fits this movie excellently.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad that didn't happen. No reason to do that.
Yeah. Another
Uh,
like low budget is like Blood Harvest with Tiny Tim dressed like the clown and shit. That's so low budget. Like the first half of that movie is like a softcore porn. The girl, that's the
they were
only
creepy,
positive in
man.
that movie. That's the only positive. That
Tiny
girl is
Tim
hot
does
and
creepy
she's naked a
well,
lot.
doesn't he?
Yeah,
Where
no,
she's on
he's
the couch and
creepy.
she's all naked, and he's coming down over her and shit while she's on the couch. It's like,
Yeah,
all right.
There's some creepy stuff in there, but the main girl is hot and she's naked through all of that.
That's always cool. That's why I always tell everybody, if you like slashers and you like great kills and a lot of blood and guts and you like nudity and tits and ass, you got to fucking watch fucking Playing with Dolls movie. You got to.
Yeah.
At least two of them are here on YouTube. So nobody has any excuse. They can go watch it.
Yeah, that's the good thing about the movies that are free uploaded to YouTube that people up and stay up, because who know the rules with all that shit's all bullshit. Because there's movies that are up for years, 10 years plus and stuff, and never get taken down. That it looks like the channels are still there, that they never got taken down or anything, but
Yeah.
yet they're copyrighted movies. And yet, if I guarantee one of us uploaded a movie like that, our shit would get striked and taken down so fast.
Immediately. Yeah, other motherfuckers can put out a whole goddamn catalog,
Yeah.
music and everything. Me, I got 5 seconds of the original. And it's not even the music of the clock recording. It's that original part where it goes, bam.
Mm-hmm.
That's what got me struck.
Dude, it's insane. And it's crazy how we both got this strike within days for the same thing, for the Clockwork Orange music.
It hadn't even turned into the dan, 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 dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I mean, mine was the whole the cover of it, but it was still a cover. And there's mad covers on YouTube, and they're all up. I don't get it.
Yeah, mine was just that noise that happens when it shows the screen
Yeah,
orange.
the
That's it. That's it. And I said,
with the synth tuning, yeah.
man, you know, they give you the option to get a hold of the distributor, the actual people with music. I tried to get a hold of them, you know, try to send them an email.
No response, right?
Hey, man. Oh no, they blocked me from being able to fucking message them again. They
Really?
made it to where you cannot blah blah blah. They sent me back a message saying that I could not. So I was like, why did YouTube even give that to me then?
That option, yeah. That I remember that because they never answered when I got, coincidentally, the first strike I ever got, like early on the channel, was for the fucking music to Clockwork Orange too. Because I forgot I was doing an audio Tales from the Crypt Digger, just saying a little few minutes about the movie, and I was talking about the score, but I forgot to mute it, and they hit me for the fucking music then. So, and I tried doing that option and reaching out to them to say if they would drop the claim, and they took the video down. I won't put it back up. Just, can you drop it? No answer, no response. Makes no sense.
They must be getting sick of people asking them to stop. It's
That's,
like, no,
yeah, that's probably it.
We're Warner Brothers and we're fucking assholes.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably exactly what it is.
Warner Brothers and Universal, man, are both some anal motherfuckers, man. I heard Universal's damn near as bad. So.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
especially
okay,
with music.
I'm not making shit off this. I'm not gonna be making shit off this. I didn't intend on making shit off this.
Exactly.
You've made millions and billions. Okay, just strike my channel and have my shit, all my hardware taken down.
Yep.
And I still need to re-edit. I even took the other one off because it had it even longer than that one, and they didn't get that one.
Yeah, that's why we were talking about that. I said take it down just and edit it just to be careful, because the cover passed that I did passed all the checks. I wait for the check thing to process and show, and it said no issues. And then it was like a week later that they hit me with it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So yeah, you're not safe even if the check process clears.
So I'm just going to go over both of those. I'm just going to re-upload it as one interview. It'll still
there you go.
It'll still be under an hour. Well, not an interview discussion.
Yeah, so that way you just edit up the music part and then just put it together as one long discussion. That'll work.
Advertising for them. Yeah, it is for. You're right.
Yeah, exactly, Jason. That's one thing I don't get. It's like if we're using clips from movies, or we're doing a cover of a song, or using this, it's just bringing good attention to it, because we're not trying to. It's not like we're just upping the movie, for easy views or anything. Like, we're talking the shit out of these movies and praising them for the most part. So you would think that these companies and production studios and everything would want this. And a lot of them do. I mean, look at all the indie horror filmmakers and stuff. I've been reached out to by a few distribution companies to review their movies and stuff like that. They want that press. They want people spreading the word on it. I guess once you hit a certain level, like Warner Brothers University, you don't need it, so you don't give a shit.
Like Peringvar, they did did the Christmas Cruelty.
Mm-hmm.
I did his film. and then we did the interview on his film, and he wrote, directed, starred in, did part of the music. Now you're talking about that's his fucking movie.
Yeah.
And he didn't give one shit. He was like, hell yeah. As a matter of fact, that's why he got a hold of me to want to talk to me to do the interview to begin with, because he heard that I was going to do a watch along of it.
Yeah.
And that's why he contacted me. I didn't contact him. He got a hold of me.
Yeah, exactly.
And
they want that word of mouth. They want those reviews out there.
Shit, we're still friends. You know, he wanted that. He said he didn't understand the shit. And I said that's the difference between having, you know, owners like you guys, it's 2 or 3 of you that made it, and it being independent to turn into a corporation. It turns into a corporation.
Exactly.
Then you got the stocks and you got the fucking all that bullshit involved.
The shareholders, the studio. Once it's a studio film, then you got all that to deal with.
That's I don't forget where they come from when that happens.
Yeah.
But all right, man. I will let you get your rest of your morning now.
No doubt. This is good. Man.
But we will be back to do Mutilator and Intruder, and then maybe after that, Sleepaway 1 and 2.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Or Sorority House 1 and 2. Who knows?
Those are other movies I've wanted to do for a while too. All 3 Sorority House.
So yeah. Thanks everybody. And
thanks for hanging out, guys.
I'll be catching you soon, man. Everybody take it easy.
Have a good night, everybody.
I am Agoraphobe, and you are not. Little gap.
Because I am Agoraphobe, and you are not.
Good shit, man.